Welcome to another episode of...
Hello, my name is Cedric, and along with my beautiful wife, Connie, we'll be hosting my brand new podcast, That's What I Said. I'm a retired Navy veteran that suffers from PTSD and anxiety, and we'll discuss how I cope with the mental illness through comedy and discussion. It's a podcast that will talk about everything from cryptocurrency to comedy. If we're worrying about the dollar going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's still a dollar, guess what? The value of that means absolutely nothing. Cryptocurrency in itself is the future of money. From spirituality to cannabis. To have cannabis on the Schedule 1 list is bullshit. I'm sorry, it is. It makes absolutely no sense. If it's a seed that can be planted and it has healing properties in it, why the hell is it in Schedule 1? Last time I checked, cocaine don't have healing property in it. From interracial relationships, I don't have a problem with people talking about interracial relationships. People try to talk bad about my interracial relationship just to think that they can get under my skin. I mean, really, it don't bother me. I mean, let's not make, call a spade a spade. But if you have a problem with someone that's in love, it shouldn't matter the race of the person. It's a mental illness in our community. The problem is people want to put labels on it. Everybody wants to put color on everything. And as soon as you put color on it, it gets treated differently. The money gets treated funny. Because if it's dealing with Asians, guess what? It's going to take a longer process unless those leaders step up and get into the president's face or U.S. leaders' face and say, this is a problem in our community. Not leaving one topic unturned. If you want to hear real, authentic conversation, interviews, and comedy, please take time to listen to That's What I Said, because I said what I said.
Giving you 100% authentic, real, raw, unapologetic truth with no filter. Listen to That's What I Said. Available on your favorite podcast platform. Welcome to another episode of That's What I Said with your host, Cedric Sanders. Giving you 100% authentic, real, raw, unapologetic truth with no filter. The broadcast starts now.
What's good, everybody? It's Friday again. And you know what we do on Friday? We go in with this podcast. That's what I said. I'm always hooked to the right side of my body or my left side of my body with my woman right here on the side of me. What's good, baby? How you doing?
Friday. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining us on another episode of That's What I Said. I'm ready to get this stuff started.
Yes, sir.
We got some good stuff coming in tonight.
Yeah, we do. And without further ado, I'm not going to leave any doubt. I gave y'all a promise last week, and I said I'm going to have a guest, and I do. So tonight, I bring forth my brother from New Jersey. He has impacted my life in a great magnitude when it comes to understanding finance and being able to recognize not just what money is, but how to really just take control of your finances. And it opened my eyes to a lot of different realities, and a lot of things that I've been doing is a lot of it is because of what he has been saying and everything. I mean, he does his own thing in New Jersey. He does financial workshops to get people more aware and be able to save the right way. And I wanted to bring him on this conversation because I think having this dialogue with another brother that understands finance is going to take this conversation to where it needs to be. So again, without further ado, my brother that is on the East Coast, Andre, what's good, my brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Sonny said? How you doing, bro? I'm good.
Good. I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. It's truly, I'm truly happy to have you on tonight. And I want to have this conversation because I know it's something that you've been not even just discussing, but are passionate about. And I was briefly talking about this last week concerning kind of the recession and everything and getting people to understand that. But at the same time, not going into the lane that we're going in this week, because tonight I wanted to talk more about understanding what money is and kind of getting a better understanding of kind of why it's so important to be aware of what's going on. Because they say we're going into a recession, gas prices are high and everything else. But at the same time, what are we doing about it? Are we just complaining, or are we actually saving the right way, putting our money in the right direction? So I guess first off, what was like the biggest, I think, attraction when it came to understanding money for you?
Well, for me, I was introduced to business by my father's side of the family, and then directly by my mom. You know, and my mother taught me the value of a dollar. You know what I'm saying? When it came to buying us stuff, you know, we wanted to, most kids wanted the nice name brand stuff. We didn't get that. We got clean, brand new clothes, but it wasn't always name brand. So I didn't understand the dynamics of being financially responsible and raising a family. But I fast forward to, 2005, when my wife and I decided that, we wasn't going to do the Section 8 thing no more. I said, listen, I come from a family of business owners and real estate owners, so property owners. So I said, well, let's dive into this thing. And that's what we did. So 2004, 2005, we started buying up property. By 2008, we had amassed $3.5 billion in real estate.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. I thought I was financially literate because, I had over $3 billion under management with a $12,000 a month rent roll. So I thought I was financially literate. But I quickly found out that I was not. And most people don't understand what financial literacy, the actual word, means. So let me just explain it. Financial literacy basically means the same thing as being illiterate, learning to read. So if you're illiterate, you can take a book and you can read it and understand it, right? That means you're literate. Well, financial literacy basically means that you can read the financial markets and determine, or should I say, develop a skill set to be able to determine where you need to put your money based on the financial climate at the time. That's what financial literacy is. And because I was not financial literate, I didn't understand the market was changing in 2008. I didn't know it was a crash coming. Nobody in my family, none of my business associates, nobody said to me, Amir, you might not want to buy this piece of property. You might want to start buying gold because a recession is coming. Nobody told me that.
Right.
So subsequently, within 90 days, I lost over $1 million in 2008.
Man.
Within 90 days. And then, and to put that into context, let me put that into context. It was $1 million in cash and value because the property values in 2008 plummeted, right?
Right.
So I lost, I lost 2 properties. I was able to sell 2. Thank God, and recoup some of my money, and then I kept the property that we lived in. But the key thing was the government did come bail us out. Nobody came to save us in 2008, right? So having coming from abject poverty to becoming a millionaire and then to lose it again is something that I don't wish on my enemy. Right? I don't wish that on my enemy.
Yeah.
But long story short, the passion came from me praying. I prayed to God to ask God to allow me to become financially literate enough to be able to recognize these cycles the next time this came. And when I went into studying, for the last 13 years, I've been extensively studying the financial makeup of this country, the foundation of the country, the global monetary system, the history of every boom and bust cycle. I studied the beginning of the stock market to now, and when I saw in 2017 and 18, those financial cycles start to repeat. As you already know, Fred, I was telling people that the market is about to crash. The market is about to crash. I can't tell you how many videos that I can send to anybody who believes that the market crashed because of COVID. That's a lie. Because I was telling people 2 years before. I got videos. I actually found a video saying, let me tell you what I did. I found a video that I was explaining to the people on my live what was particularly going to happen with the war with Ukraine and Russia, taxes, inflation. This was in 2019. I made this video. So I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't, when you have something that was three or 4 years old before COVID, before anything had to do with any Ukraine or Russia, I got a video I'll share with you, and we can share with your viewers later on. But that's where it came from me losing $1 million. My wife and my family, and then I became extremely financial literate. And what I like to call it is foundational financial literacy. Because I was able to find out and understand what the foundation of money was, where it came from, how it was built, the principles, the characteristics, and how our currency, which is called fiat currency now, is directly in contrast to what lawful money or foul money or decentralized money is.
Right.
So,
Wow. So you said
you blew my mind, Andre.
You said two things that I really want to get into, only because I think people need to have not just a better understanding of it and not in retrospect a surface understanding. They need to be able to say, okay, that's why it's called that. So fiat currency, as we know it, is just currency that represents whatever country it comes from. But really, the reality of it is that it doesn't even be worth what it's printed on.
Right. So basically, I'm going to cut you, Sam.
No, you're good.
Fiat, basically, the word fiat basically means government. It's government money, right? Government currency. It's like D and it is. You know how God said in the beginning of time, said D, and and it is? That's exactly what fiat is. Basically what that means. It's basically they're saying this is what currency is, this is the value. They set it and then they circulate it. But that's not money. Right.
And that's mainly like its representation of what a dollar is, or what they would see that as the recognition of what the value of $1 or $5 or $20 is.
Right.
But you're right. It's not money. It's a representation of the said currency. So it's almost like a promissory note.
Right. That's exactly what it started out as.
Right.
As a receipt for money. So to give people to put this into context, right? I don't care what your religion is. I'm personally Muslim, right?
Right.
I don't care if you're Christian, Jewish, Jehovah's Witness. I don't care what your religion is. If you get your holy book, I guarantee you gold and silver is in there as money, right?
Right.
So understanding what money is, historically, money is weighed, not printed, right? It's actually a measure of weight. So when gold and silver was used to spin, the actual Latin word to spin means to weigh. So when we go buy stuff in the store, we don't weigh our money, we count it.
Right.
So that's a clear indication that, based on the Latin words, weigh means to, to spin means to weigh, right? To weigh out. And that's how we used to use our currency, our money, which was gold and silver, right? So back to what you said, the dollar was a receipt for the real money. So give you a little history. Back prior to 1929, you were able to go into the bank with what they called a silver certificate or a gold certificate. Give that to the bank, which is the receipt, and then they will give you your money, which is your gold and silver. This is how the world was set up. This is how the United States government, United States Treasury system was set up. So what they did was they played games with the words, they played games with the currency, they played games with the money. So they changed the word lawful money. If you Google what lawful money is and read it, you'll see that lawful money is only issued by the U.S. Treasury, not the Federal Reserve System. So with that understanding, the currency we're using is not from the Treasury. Only the Treasury can issue lawful money. So what they did in 1971, when they severed the ties between gold and the dollar,
right?
They changed the name. Well, actually, I want to go back a little further. When the Federal Reserve System was set up in 1913, they changed the words from lawful money to legal tender. This is where the gameplay is.
Right.
The gameplay of words.
Yep.
They changed it from lawful money to legal tender. That's what they did.
So, Andre, can you say that with them changing the words and, fixing it to state legal tender versus lawful money, it was a perception of their interpretation of what it meant?
Well, what they did, so to kind of good question. Let me just say this. What they actually did was committed a fraud. They committed fraud to the world, against the world, right? They committed a fraud. So what they did, the way our country was set up, right? After, I don't want to go back that far. So let me say this. The United States, prior to 1971, was on a system called the Bretton Woods Agreement. The Bretton Woods Agreement was basically saying that gold was pegged to the U.S. dollar, which is exchangeable, right? Right? For the U.S. dollar. That's what that meant. So that means that anywhere in the world that the U.S. dollars was circulating, at any time you can bring them back to the U.S. country and trade your dollars for gold. That's what that meant, right? What they did in 71, because they had committed fraud against the world, they had printed more dollars or receipts for money than they actually had money, right? So once France was the first country in the world to realize that the U.S. government had committed fraud, they went live in French at that time, the prime minister, and said that the government, the U.S. committed fraud, and they start asking for their gold back. So the world started following suit. They start asking for their gold back. This country started asking for their gold back. And what the United States government had to do was to sever the ties. The convertibility is the word. The dollar was convertible into gold. They had to sever the ties in 1971 before the U.S. went bankrupt because they had printed so much dollars.
Right.
And they didn't have the gold to back it up.
To back it up.
Right. So Nixon had to make the announcement that they were severing the ties of gold between the gold and dollar because they had nothing else. They had no more gold. They would have ran out of gold.
Wow.
And the U.S. government, that was the second time they had committed a fraud
Right.
when it comes to the global currency, what they call the world's reserve currency.
Right.
Damn.
But this thing gets deep, bro.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's a whole that's a whole series right there.
Right.
So I would like to actually, since we're already in this direction and it's flowing perfectly, I would like to discuss the fact that the recession, it's, I guess in a sense, it's being controlled by this whole rate hike that, that transpired, the 0.75%. And they said, the last time it happened was back when Clinton was president, back in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So 28 years has passed, and we didn't had the value of the dollar drop. Gold has went up dramatically since back then, because gold back then, the average price was $384. And for silver, back the last time they had this rate hike, back 28 years ago, silver was only $5. It was like $5.28. And
Right.
now gold is well over $1,800, and silver is right at a little bit over 21, almost $22.
Right.
So what people are not understanding is that the dollar is not going up in value.
It's not. It's going down.
It's going down because everything else, cost of goods, services, gas, all this stuff is going. Yeah, it's going up with inflation. So I'm going to ask you this, and I'm sure we're going to have a great dialogue after I ask this question, but wouldn't it make sense to, I guess in layman's terms, dollar cost average and buy gold and silver?
Yes. Yes, it would. So let me go back.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back into what you're saying as far as the inflation, as far as the rate hike. I got to really put this into perspective because I don't want to lose our listeners.
Right.
So the reason for this, I want to be extremely clear. The reason for this inflation and the reason for the rate hike is because the U.S. government has overinflated the currency supply. That's actually the classic definition of inflation, is when a government overinflates the currency supply so much that when you have high circulation of currency and low demand for that currency, it reduces the purchasing power of the currency. So here's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
I did a live video about 2 weeks ago, and about what they called an ounce of silver. It was called a silver Morgan, a Morgan dollar, right?
Right.
That was printed in the 1800s to the 1900s. So that Morgan dollar in 1964 was $1, and a gallon of milk was $1, right? So let's fast forward to today. That same silver dollar is worth $32 to $35. Now, can you buy a gallon of milk with $1? No. Right? And the reason for that is because they have overinflated the currency supply. Now, let me put that into context.
Mm-hmm.
From 2020 to 2022, in 18 months, and actually in 15 months, I want you to understand what I'm about to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
The United States is over 200 years old. They have created 40% of the currency that's ever existed in this country in 15 months. I'm going to say that again. I want you to understand what I'm telling you. Listen.
Wow.
In the last 15 months, they have created 40% of all the currency that has ever existed in the history of the United States in 15 months. 40%.
Wow.
That's the reason why we are experiencing hyperinflation that has not been this way since Jimmy Carter was president. It's been over 40 years that the last time the interest rates was this high. And when you understand how the dynamics of this works, they have to now raise the interest rates because what they were doing was giving free money. Right? That's what they call helicopter money.
Helicopter money.
When the government just start throwing money to the public, right, to basically pacify them because they're bailing out the banks, they're bailing out Wall Street, they're bailing out all these big corporations that was reckless with the money. So what they did was gave away all this money, created all of these stimulus packages, right? And in doing so, they lowered the interest rate, right, to zero, and that made everybody go goofy crazy spending money. Yep. As soon as they realized that the inflation rate was too high, now they have to what they call practice monetary stimulus. They have to now pull that in, right?
Yep.
So they're pulling in the supply and then raising the interest rates, which is going to cause people to stop investing. And that's what happened. That's why the markets are down. That's why the cryptocurrency markets are down. That's why the stock market is down.
Right.
Because they now are monetary, what's the right word said? Tightening. Monetary tightening.
Yeah.
They're now reeling in, right, all of the paper, the printing press. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why we're experiencing so much inflation is because they're printed 40% of the money the currency that's ever existed in the United States in the last 15 months.
That's just crazy to even.
That's insane.
It is to even fathom.
Because fathom that, right?
I mean, because I'm gonna be honest, I've been like really getting into technical analysis with crypto and paying more attention to like the inflation rate and everything. So when they did that rate hike, I immediately started moving money in crypto. Like, right. Like it was almost like a blink of an eye. Like I didn't take a deep breath or nothing. I went straight to my crypto and started moving the money around. I was like, Bitcoin's going to drop and all my other investments is going to fall down too. So I need to put them in a safe haven for right now. And I did that. And I mean, I left a little bit in there just to make sure that that's what's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. And basically what Andre was talking about it was very basic what he said. So you can't get any more basic than that. But to add on to it, it's what happens is like that. Back in high school, we always talked about supply and demand.
Exactly.
So when you create so much supply and nobody is looking to get it, you're going to do everything to get rid of it. That's what the stimulus packages was. They was trying to get rid of money because the inflation rate was down. So they was like, no, spend it. As soon as it goes up. They
were trying to stimulate the economy.
Yes.
That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Trying to stimulate the economy. That's why people got these cars that are repoed now because they spent their stimulus check. And, now the repo man then came and got it. So what ended up also happening with when they did this rate hike is the demand for more money started to come in because people started, I'm going to buy this house because I think the interest rate is going to go up because we're going to go into a recession. All these people started selling their investment properties to take their profits to just hold because they really don't have nothing to invest in right now.
Right. They don't understand. They don't understand the dynamics of gold, silver, and crypto. So they're holding their cash. You're right. They're holding their cash.
So no, and last what I was going to say was that it came to a point like people like you and I can go on our Facebooks or whatever it is that we use to kind of get people involved. And you can put this info out there and people will not bite on it or not even pay attention to it. But what they'll end up doing is doing those emotional posts where they're posting about gas prices and be like, man, gas is high.
Exactly. And my God.
I'm like, I've been trying to, I think it's hard for me to feel sorry, but I still do. But at the same time, it's like, you can't, lead a horse to water. If it ain't gonna drink, they ain't gonna drink. But if you try to get people to say and be honest and say, look, I should have paid more attention to you. No, it's not about paying attention to me. I'm giving this out freely because I didn't have it before.
Exactly.
I didn't have it before. Because if I had this 20 years ago,
you'd have been a millionaire.
Oh my God. I mean, y'all probably wouldn't know me. Maybe y'all would have. I don't know. But
you'd be probably on the front of somebody's magazine.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I like to say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead a person to information, but you can't make them think. Ooh. Right? Ooh. Those things are relevant in the space of what I'm about to say to you. And what you just said, I'm going to piggyback off what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
People thought, and I'm talking about my blood relatives, some of my blood relatives told me I was crazy and they don't believe me. I'd rather be 2 years too early than 1 day too late. And that's what I was. I was 2 years too early. I was telling people that the market was going to crash in 2018, right? 2019, right? But it actually crashed in 2020.
Right.
Now, there's something called the repo market, right?
Yes.
And the video that I'm going to send to you, I'm going to actually post this in, and I want you to share it so your followers and your listeners can actually see this video.
No doubt.
Because I did it in 2019. So the things that I was talking about, I was telling it was to come. It hadn't happened yet.
Right.
Right? So they said, what you know? You work on cars. You don't know nothing about no economy and this, that, and third. Most people don't know what it's like to lose $1 million. So I was motivated beyond motivation,
right?
Because I was determined not to lose anything in 2021. In 2020,
right?
So I say that to say that I've been the whole process warning people, giving them the warning signs, and now, like you said, they got emotional posts about how the gas price is high and this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
My life was forever changed, right? During this 2020 and 2021 cycle where I woke up in 90 days to my yearly salary.
Wow.
That changed. I'm going to tell you what I did. I didn't go to work that day. I stayed in my house, right? And I cried for about an hour.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you why. It's one thing to read about building wealth, right? It's one thing to study about it, and you're actively and purposely and intentionally doing the things you're doing to build wealth. But when it happens, it's overwhelming.
Right.
So to put into perspective, and in December, I put out a basket of investments into crypto. And by January, February, March, I had made my entire yearly salary. Understand, it takes you 12 months, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year to make your yearly salary.
Mm-hmm.
I had made that in 90 days.
Wow.
So once that happened, I really started actively posting because I couldn't tell people, I don't want people to think I'm showing off, right?
Right.
Because that's the first energy that, negative energy, when somebody's looking at that with a jealous spirit, they don't look at you trying to educate people, Fed.
Yeah,
they're looking at you as trying to show off,
You're
right? When Shiba Inu blew up, I saw your post. I saw a lot of people post. I understood what it felt like to feel that. Do you understand me? To wake up to a certain amount of money that you only saw on TV or basketball stars or singers or actors. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
That's real.
So I understand that. But here's the discipline in that. That's just that windfall. Now we have to be responsible to now double and triple that which you earn through this bear cycle.
Yep.
So I'm taking all of the money that I can outside of paying my mortgage, my car insurance, outside of that, is going right back into the market.
Yep.
Because now I understand. When I say I understand, there's a difference between knowing and understanding.
Right.
So if I ask you, Cedric, what's 2 + 2? You say 4 because you know the answer.
Right.
Right. But if I told you that, it's going to rain outside based on what the weatherman said, if you understand what I'm saying, you're going to take action by changing your clothes.
Right.
You're going to put on a raincoat.
Yep.
Right? You're going to put on your goulashes, right?
Right.
Our people don't understand the difference between knowing and understanding. So once I understood what was going on, it changed my action. It changed my thought process, right? So this is what we need to do, is just continuously educate our community, said.
Brother.
Just continually educate our community, because I was once a Bitcoin basher because I didn't understand it, right?
Yes.
I didn't understand what Bitcoin was. I did not understand the dynamics of a currency that I couldn't touch, I couldn't see, right? That I couldn't put in my closet or my safe.
Right.
I didn't understand that. It wasn't until I understood the characteristics and principles of what gold and silver was that made it money.
Right.
And when I applied those characteristics to Bitcoin, then it made 100% sense. There are characteristics that gold and silver has that fiat currency does not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And those are the big dynamic differences.
Oh my God, absolutely. It's funny you said that because, and I don't normally put my business out there either, but one of my goals, is to retire my wife. So she doesn't have, to go to work, and she's dedicated. I mean, she's been at her job for well over 20 years, going on 25.
I'll beat you on that one. Beat you on that one.
Yeah.
27.
Oh,
sir.
shit. My bad. 27 years. So my goal is to make her salary. And once I make her salary, I need to do it again. Because I told her, I was like, the first time, that's perfect. But if I can do it twice, then in my eyes, if I know I can do it, there's no point in you going to a job that you've been working at for 27 years when I have a way for us to survive by taking your income. So I had, back in the Shiba Inu, I had, told my wife, I was like, I'm about to think I'm gonna put a little bit into this. And she just looked at me and she was like, as long as all your stuff is paid. So right. I did it, and then I started kind of spreading it around Bitcoin and Ethereum because I was starting to understand kind of the cycles of cryptocurrency and understanding these technical analysis. So lo and behold, Shiba Inu did this jump, and I literally showed my phone. I was like, babe, look, babe. And she was like, oh my God, what happened? Bro. And from that point, I said, I don't care if I only get one person to listen to me. I am trying to get people into this because, and I'm be honest with you, I had the same mindset you did because I understood gold and silver. And to me, once you understood what real money is, you're going to understand what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is, especially when it comes to understanding centralized and decentralized exchanges. So it gives you that ammunition before you even start diving into understanding what a blockchain is. Mm-hmm. So I'm 100% with you on that, brother. It just made me kind of, I think, be more humble to the fact, like you said, either you know or you understand. And I was like far from to the point of understanding. But then I knew for a fact. And it was like, okay, I need to put this knowing out there because of what I know, I want other people to know. And I've always been that way. And I think you as a man, it's like we have so much pressure to make sure the security of the one thing that you have to maintain is your family. Yep. So the dynamic of like me, like as soon as me and my wife bought this house, it wasn't even a month, I had my mom in here. Like, that was our plan. As soon as we buy the house, bring my mom down. And from that point on, it's been me not just trying to educate people, but it's been me saying I need to do better. Not because I'm bad with money. I just need to do better with what I got, because I'm not doing the best that I can do. And I'm not.
And that's what it's about.
You know, and once I think I was honest with that piece of it, it made me so much more aware of what was out there. Like me and your connection, like we met in 2018 on Facebook. So it's been that educational stairway of listening to someone, not only because of the fact that they have the same, I guess, motivation as you do when it comes to finances, but really just be one with you and just saying, you know what, I recognize this and I applaud this brother because of his knowledge. But at the same time, I'm learning because it's taken me in a direction of things that I knew. I just never took a deep dive into it. And it was like, you made me take that deep dive. You made me take that deep dive. And when I did that, especially with cryptocurrency, it was just, it was just crazy. So I want to talk about something that we're still in the lane of real quick. And with cryptocurrency and gold and silver, I hear from a lot of people, you know, people say trying to buy gold and silver is hard because people are not I wouldn't say bad, but they're not as knowledgeable as far as the right places to go when it comes to buying gold and silver. What have you found through your time of, of trying to get the currency when it comes to gold and silver? What have you found the easiest way to be able to get it? And what did you find it was a challenge?
So that's a great question. So that goes back to how you and I met. We were in our old company we were dealing with had a unique business structure where you were able. They were the only company in the world doing this, and this was without question. There's no doubt. There's no debating this. For 11 years, they had gold accessible to the world, literally in 121 countries. Right.
Yep.
So dealing with that company, it taught me to understand that we can buy it in small increments. Right. We were able to buy gold in small increments. Fast forward, the company ran into a bunch of regulations, and we don't deal with, they couldn't sell gold anymore. That did not stop me because I understand the assignment. You know that post everybody put on Facebook? I understood the assignment was generational wealth, because the tool or the vehicle was gold and silver. Just because that company shut down, I went to look for another one.
Right.
So I was now dealing with another company that has the same principles, but here in the U.S., which is easier. Now I get my gold and silver in 6 to 7 days, not 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Like before.
Well,
I get it in 6 to 7 days to my front door. I posted on the other day, I don't know if you saw it, said those 2 Federal Express.
Yeah, I did.
Right. So that was my silver inside of those containers. So some people get excited when they see Amazon outside, right?
Yeah.
I'm just the opposite. When I see Federal Express trucks, I am excited because I know what time what time it is.
Right.
So to answer that question, so I deal with a company that ships the gold and silver directly to my front door. I can buy it in small increments, 1 ounce, half an ounce, a quarter of an ounce. I can eat, and gold the same way. I can buy a tenth of an ounce, a half a gram. And see, we can't make excuses that we can't afford it, because if you got to pay $150 pair of sneakers, a gram of gold is only $89. So make it make sense. Right. Make it make sense. You got a $500 gaming system in your house, but you don't own any assets. You will not believe how many, because I have these classes every week. I was sitting with, I'm a sidebar for a second. I was sitting down with the manager of a bank in my city. This woman has a master's degree in finance. I asked her 3 questions and she didn't have an answer for neither one of them.
I'm done.
Right? So, and the reason why I said that, I asked her a specific question, right? So watch this. I said to her specifically, I said, well, I'm teaching financial literacy and I want to deal with this bank specifically because it's a Black-owned bank, and I've been teaching the community for 5 years. So condescendingly, she asked me, so what have you been teaching the community? I said, well, I'll give you an example. I said, if you had $10,000 and you wanted to save it for 3 years to buy a piece of property, where would you save it? She said, well, I'm not going to say what you might think I'm going to say, but I would put it into a high interest yield, so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, well, what do you consider high interest yield? Because right now, there's no bank in America that's giving you 1%.
Nope.
Right? It's 0.001% or 0.06%. Right? So her high yielding percentage was 0.89%, which is not even 1%.
No.
So I said to her, well, don't you know for the last 20 years, if you had saved gold, physical gold, you would have had a return of an average of 9.8% over the last 20 years? That's higher than the stock market return.
Yeah.
She was quiet. I said, well, do you own any lawful money? Question number 2. She said, what is lawful money? Now, this is the bank manager. This is the manager. Understand what I'm telling you? It's the bank manager. So I said, well,
who has a master's
degree?
Right.
So I said to her, I said, well, lawful money is any money that's issued by the Treasury of this country and not the Federal Reserve. Do you own any money issued by the Treasury? She said no, because she knew that the dollars are not issued by U.S. Treasury.
Nope.
I say that to say it would blow your mind as to the people you think would know, but they don't, because they're educated by the same people who are financially oppressing us. So what I told her and what I tell people when I talk to them, I said, there's a difference between having financial education and being financially literate. Those are 2 different things. Absolutely. You can have financial education, right? You can have financial education, know about interest, know about banking, know about credit repair. That's financial education, right? Know about life insurance. But when you ask these exact same people, do you own any lawful money? How are you protecting your savings from inflation? You ask these very specific questions. They don't have an answer because they are not financially literate. They're financially educated, but not financially literate. So, and that's the difference. The financial education is the systems that teach us, the school, the colleges. They teach us these things because we're in a debt-based system. So they keep you inside of that debt-based system. I cannot tell you if it's been 100 people, Cedric, that has come to me this year and said to me through text or through a phone conversation or through inboxing me, my financial advisor won't help me get into gold and silver. You know why? They don't make any money on it.
They don't. Yep.
They don't make any money. They make money on the trade for paper assets. They don't make any money if you start saving gold and silver. Right? So I say that I want to segue into something before I forget, right? Because I don't know how much time do we have, Sid? Because I don't want to.
Bro, we got all the time in the world, brother. Don't even stress.
So I want to give these 10 characteristics that identify the differences between money and fiat currency. I'm going to give you all 10 right now. So if you're recording,
yes,
or you can write it down, I want to give you the main 10 differences of the characteristics of money, because this is something that, these financial advisors, none of the things that we teach, Cedric, 99% of it, financial advisors don't even know, because they're not taught financial literacy. They taught financial education. So here's the thing. Number 1, real money is a unit of account. Right? That's number 1, unit of account. Number 2, it's a unit of measurement. right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, it's durable. Number 4, it's portable. Number 5, it's divisible. Number 6, it's fungible. Fungible. Fungible basically means the value of the currency in my pocket has the exact same value as the currency in your pocket. That's what fungible means, right? Number 7, limited supply. There's only a limited supply of real money. Number 8, it's a store of value over long periods of time. Money will store the value of your wealth over long periods of time. Number 9, real money is a hedge against inflation. And number 10, real money is considered an asset. Those are the 10 characteristics that differentiate money from fiat currency. Because fiat currency there's only a few of these that fiat currency qualifies, but it's not money, right? So those are the 10 differences. Because when you look at the fact that real money, the governments of the world reclassified money as an asset so they can tax it. I'm going to say that again. The governments of the world reclassified money as an asset so they can tax it. Because technically, if I went to the bank, let me give you an example of the difference. If I went to the bank and gave them $1 and told them to give me 4 quarters, would they tax me on that?
Oh, wow, no.
No, because I'm exchanging $1 for 4 quarters, right?
Yeah.
Both of them are considered the same currency. Well, according to the Constitution, I am supposed to be able to take my silver certificate or my gold certificate and take it to the bank and exchange it for real money, which there's no tax involved. That's why they classify gold and silver as assets so they can tax it, because they understood that it appreciates in value.
Right. Wow.
They understood that, right? And that's the differences. So what they did systematically, and this is the historical part of this, and then we're going to get back to whatever questions you have. The reason why most civilizations from Greece to the United States financially fell was because of inflation. And the reason they did it, because they followed a very specific roadmap to financial ruin. And the roadmap was extracting the money that only God could make out of their currency supply, right? And here is the United States following that same age-old roadmap to financial ruin. In 1971, they took the gold from backing the dollar. In 1964, they took silver out the quarter and the dime. In 1982, they took all of the copper out of the penny. Therefore, completing the process of changing all of the lawful money into legal tender. Changing lawful money into fiat currency. Right. Now it's just going to continue to inflate because it has no value. It has no value. And that's why it has no real value. It's what they call intrinsic value, right? So that's basically the differences and why I started saving physical gold and silver. And, you can share with your readers or your listeners, where we're getting our gold and silver from, because they ship it right to the house.
Right. Yeah. Please send me that info.
I definitely will.
So I actually got one more question, but I'm gonna ask my wife if she has one.
I'm sitting over here absolutely mind blown.
Yeah, she's
by the conversation that you just brought up about the tax, the 10 things about real money and then the taxation part. And I'm sitting here just absolutely mind blown because, man.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people don't realize what real money is. And then when they actually look at it, it's like, I've been working this job for 20 something years and they've been paying me. IOU notes?
Pretty damn much.
And I've been
I've been busting my ass for all these years, and you give me a promissory note?
I mean,
what?
It's an unfortunate piece but see, the turning point of that is once you recognize it, how you going to monopolize it? Because that's my new thing. It's like now you recognize the fact that you have fiat currency. How are you going to monopolize it?
Right.
And people...
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, what I was about to say is that I don't think people realize that you have to monopolize what doesn't have value into something that has value. If you put hard work in and they pay you and what you recognize as a payment that you negotiated as, yes, this is going to be my salary. If you negotiated that already in your mind, you should be like, how can I monopolize that? Because
and capitalize off of it.
Exactly. Thank you. And capitalize off of it. Because the reality is that people get comfortable in what they negotiate because they think that's all they're worth. But when you know your value, you become wealthy in knowing your value, then you could put your money to work.
Yeah, you can put your money. And that's the reason why I start accepting 50 to 60% of all the business I do, I accept Bitcoin. I tell people I don't even want the dollar. You know what I'm saying? And this is the ignorance. Let me share some of the ignorance. This is what a few people said to me, and listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. Now, watch this. We're in a recession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Inflation is running rampant. Gas prices are high as giraffe behind, right?
Yep.
So I'm telling the customer, I can save you 10% if you just pay me in the currency that I want to be paid in.
Right.
It's not going to cost you any more money. You're going to actually save 10% if you pay me in Bitcoin. Now, watch this. They have Cash App. What most people don't know, they don't understand that Cash App is a crypto to fiat gateway.
Yep.
It will exchange the fiat currency to Bitcoin even if you don't have it. The app does it. So if I say, okay, said, you want to pay me for these watermelons? You want to pay me for this radio? You want to pay me for this, this alarm remote start? It's $100, but if you pay me in Bitcoin, it's $90.
Right.
The lady said to me, I don't like Bitcoin. I said, what does you liking the currency have to do with you saving 10%?
Right.
I don't understand why this is. They don't get it. So I asked her, I said, well, what is it that you don't like about an asset? I said, do you own any assets? She said, yes. I said, well, let me understand. Let me be clear. What have you purchased in the last 24 months that today is worth 200% more than when you paid for it? She looked around. She looked at me. She looked at the car. She said, well, I don't own anything. I said, well, you don't own any assets. What do you thought was an asset?
Right.
She was talking about her car.
Oh, wow.
Listen, I'm telling you, I swear to you, I lie to you not. So, I have to be extremely patient because I have to always remember and be humble. That was me.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand me? That was me.
Yep.
I didn't always know this.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up knowledgeable. It wasn't until I started reading books. Listen, God has a promise to every human being, regardless of what you believe or what your race or what your religious belief is. You will not get the promise without the process. You have to go through a process to get to the things that God deems worthy for you. I had to lose that $1 million for me to understand where we are right now, and we are all on the precipice of becoming or generating generational wealth because of where we are in time. And I want to talk about that before we get off.
Yeah.
Because this is a unique time in history. There is almost nobody alive right now that unless they're 100 years old, that was alive when the last time this happened in the United States, right? And there's nobody alive right now, period, that when the world reserve currencies is about to change. That's what's happening right now. So to be very clear in this segment, this part of the conversation on this podcast, we're specifically talking about the world reserve currency is about to change. That's what's about to happen, right? That's the reason why it's so important for us to start saving the future of what money is and not the past of what it's going to be. So I say that to say gold, silver, and crypto is the future of money. I can send you to any gold and silver company that you want to buy gold from. Wire is one price, crypto is a lower price, credit is another price. So you mean to tell me now I can buy gold and silver with crypto? I thought that wasn't real money. Right? So let me put this into context real quick. I want Connie to ask her question. Connie, did you have a question before I go into this?
No, I really don't. I'm sitting over here just soaking in all. I am being the absolute student right now.
All right. So if you do have a question, please jot it down because I don't want to go without answering it. Then maybe we can do a part 2 another time.
Right.
But this is very important. I want you to understand it's very, very important. In 1971, when the United States government took the world, not just the U.S., they took the world off of the gold standard. The world was starting to lose faith in the dollar. So what the United States did is they went to Saudi Arabia and made a deal called the petrodollar. They made a deal that the world reserve currency for oil was the U.S. dollar. So that meant that no matter what country in the world sold oil, they have to sell it in denomination of the dollar, right? That's the history from 1974 to 2022. Now, in 2022, that has all changed because for the first time, I don't know how many years that is. What's that, from 71 to 22? What's that, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
For the first time in over 50 years, because of what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, countries are now buying oil in their own denominated currency. The European countries are buying oil from Saudi in euros. Mm-hmm. China is buying oil in the yen, and other countries like Venezuela is selling oil for their native cryptocurrency called the petro. Mm-hmm. They're using Dash and they're using Bitcoin. You can now buy those oil with those cryptocurrencies. Now, the reason why this is so important is because if the world reserve currency was the U.S. dollar for oil, and other countries are now using their native currency to buy oil, it's going to further diminish the demand for the U.S. dollar. Yep. And that's where we're in trouble with. Because if the world decides to use their native currency to buy oil, right, and to do business internationally with each other in their native currency, excluding the dollar, then we're going to lose our world reserve currency position. That's where these CBDCs come in. Mm-hmm. And most people don't even know what that is or the significance of owning crypto against or in contrast to the CBDCs, which is short for central bank digital currency. That's what a CBDC is. So their plan is to basically eliminate the U.S. dollar or paper currency, period, right? This is the global reset. Yep. In favor of a currency that the Federal Reserve or whatever they call the central banks of the nations around the world will control. So they will eliminate the possibility of you doing what they call a bank run. So people are right now around the world lining up at the bank telling them, give me my money. Yeah. Give me my money, mm-hmm. Right? That's what they call a bank run. They're lining up, asking for their money out of the bank. Well, if they take the dollar, the yen, the euro, the peso, the ruble, if they take all of those currencies away, then you can't possibly do a bank run because you have to wait till the bank transfer your current currency digitally. Yep. Do you understand that, sir? You can't go to the bank and demand a digital deposit in your account. Nope. Right?
Nope.
Once the CBDCs are here. So that's what I'm trying to educate our people as much as possible, as fast as possible, to start saving gold, silver, and whatever basket of cryptocurrencies that you do your own research on, to understand that these currencies are the future of institutional investors, that they're going to use these currencies to solve problems in their niche business model. XRP, Solana, Polkadot, Arweave, all of these companies are now using, they're starting to adopt, and it's on the low, these cryptocurrencies, because they're solving a problem in that niche market that exists.
Yep. That's so very true.
Yeah, so this is the time we need to be doing this, because this is only going to happen once in our generation, that the world changes the world reserve currency.
Wow. You got any questions, babe?
Nah, damn.
So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna reset, let everybody realize, you on That's What I Said, the podcast, live with, of course, your host, Cedric D. Sanders, my wife, Connie, and my brother, Andre. And I'm going to bring him back. Trust and believe.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to bring you back, my brother, so we can have I wouldn't say lengthier, more, I guess, direct conversation going into this lane of preparedness, and not just the preparedness piece of it, but people to have a better understanding of what financial literacy is.
Right, and what's happening. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I'm definitely going to hit you up here, I know within the next week or so we can do this again. And blessings to you and your family. I appreciate you taking the time to do this for me and with me.
Absolutely.
And with the audience.
Greatly appreciate your knowledge.
I honor your knowledge and your financial literacy and what you're doing in the community. And if there's anything you want to say before we get off, please say it.
Yes, I wanted to say this. I need y'all to, everybody who's listening, I need you to start taking a portion of what you are using for entertainment and then divert that into your education, right? Start diverting that time that you're spending with the game, watching TV, movies. Turn the news off. You're being programmed to a bunch of BS. And pick up a book, pick up your smartphone, and start trying to find alternative means of news that's not in this country, because we're being led to slaughter. Right? That's number one. Number two, I just wanted to give one last definition or so how you can differentiate between fiat currency, which is U.S. dollars, the yen, the euro, the pound, the peso, the ruble, and real money. Real money has three different classifications. Real money, it's like I get gold, silver, and Bitcoin are all three of these things. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin is a currency. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin is money. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin are assets, because they're taxing, or they're going to try to tax all of them. Now, here's the beauty in what I'm about to tell you. Quietly, the states around the country, 42 to be exact, have now removed the taxes on gold and silver. I'm going to say that again. Quietly, 42 states out of 51 have removed the taxes on gold and silver, because they know that we're going to have to return to what they call lawful money, because the dollar is going to crash. Now, if you don't believe me, ask yourself, why would 42 states quietly remove the taxes on gold and silver, and you don't hear nothing about that on the news? Google it. It's called the Sound Money Defense Team. 42 states have removed the taxes on gold and silver. So guess what that means? You're taxed on that dollar, before you get your check. Is that not true, Sad?
Very much so. Yes, sir.
If you put your dollar in the bank and it gains interest, you're taxed on that gain. If you put your dollar inside the stock market and you earn a profit, you're taxed on that profit in the stock market. Well, if you're in one of those 42 states, if you exchange your paper for gold and silver, you will not be taxed on your gain.
Wow. Okay.
That's how you're going to build wealth into the future, because once the financial reset happens in the next 5 years, the price, or should I say the value of gold and silver, is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, facts. I agree with you on that, brother. I really do. And yeah, I got me some notes. I'm going to be listening to this podcast again.
Right. I was just about to say that.
But I appreciate your time again, my brother, and definitely you are a welcome guest on the podcast, and I'm definitely going to bring you back because we're going to have some more of these conversations.
We got part two anytime. I appreciate you guys for doing this.
Yes, sir. We're going to do it.
Thank you very much, Andre.
Yes,
appreciate your knowledge.
And I'm going to be reaching out. Yeah, I'm going to be reaching out to you shortly, brother.
Okay, no problem.
All right, peace.
All right, peace. Good night.
Yes, sir. So that was my brother, Andre the WaterKing, Andre Little. I'm going to take a break, and we're going to come back to drop a couple of more little items that we want to talk about tonight, and then we're going to be out this piece. So peace and love. We'll be right back.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
100% real, raw, and uncut. Deadass.
Peace, y'all. We back. Had to take a little short break for a second. Make sure y'all, if y'all on Facebook, y'all follow my brother Andre Little. He is a friend on my Facebook. shoot him a message if I have any questions. I'm sure he'd be glad to ask y'all. Just tell him that you listened to the podcast and you had a question that you didn't get to ask, or you want to ask him privately. So took a different direction with the podcast tonight because I really wanted to have that conversation with my brother, and I didn't want it to be too late. But at the same time, I wanted to bring forth something that was not just informational and educational, but I thought was needed.
Oh, absolutely.
In light of what's been going on and, what's going on with where we live at. There's so much going on where we live at.
Too much.
As much as I don't want to do this, I'm going to briefly, and I stress briefly, because I know this is a longer conversation than it needs to be. But what? Okay, so I'm gonna get the egg out of the basket. So
I was just about to say, you gonna hit that elephant in the room?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the egg out of the basket. So Roe versus Wade got overturned today, and I don't think I need to explain what Roe versus Wade is.
No.
If you don't Google it, I'm not gonna get into a long dissertation about it. But they overturned Roe versus Wade, and people are okay with it. People are kind of got mixed emotions about it. There are people that are upset about it, saying it's taking us back over 100 years, and I'm gonna say this. Do I just need to play the button? Because every time I'm about to be this, I need to play the button. So I'm about to be an asshole on both sides. So I'm playing devil's advocate. I can see why. Let me not say I can see why. This is the exact reason why we was just talking about how the government has frauded us with the whole money aspect. This is
right.
The whole fraud with how our human rights are messed up. I don't think people realize that in the Constitution, there's amendments that have been added to the Constitution or part of the Bill of Rights that gave people rights. So the government didn't see black people as a whole damn person.
No.
They were 3/5 of a man.
Yep.
So there's an actual amendment in the Constitution to say all people that are born here will be recognized as one person of whatever state that they live in.
Right.
There are laws or constitutional amendments that give women the right to vote.
Correct.
There was a proclamation that was done by President Lincoln to abolish slavery.
Correct.
It didn't get written to the Constitution until 4 years later in 1865.
Right.
But this is the issue. Why is there constitutional amendments to give human beings rights when we should already have our rights? We have an amendment that tells us we have freedom of speech, and we also have an amendment that tells us we can shut the fuck up. So we don't incriminate ourselves. People say plead the fifth. Yeah, plead the Fifth Amendment. But you also have the amendment that says you have the freedom of speech. Please tell me, how the hell does this make sense? How the hell does all of this make sense? You're going to take people's rights away. A woman's right. Regardless if it's a man that did this and they both did it, they both laid down, had sex, blah, blah, whatever. willingly or unwillingly, it happens, right? Now you're taking that ability away from a woman if she's not in the place to take care of her or want to take care of a kid. But then it goes back to the conversation of why did they lay down? Or what are the circumstances? Was it, a sexual altercation, blah, 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 blah. There's so many factors into this. And then there was so many laws that was protecting the women because of things like this. Now, all this shit's out the window. Because literally, 13 states we know of, right off rip, is going to say, no abortions here.
Right.
13 already know. We already know off rip they're going to say no. That leaves what? 38? 38 states. 37. 38. 51. Anyway. What I don't understand, and like I said, I'm not going to talk about this long, but what I don't understand is if we complain so much about who we vote in office or want in office, why is it so hard to get people to just recognize what somebody's really trying to do? Not just as a elected official like the president or governors or senates or whatever, senators, mayors, police chiefs, whatever. It's not that. Not that we police chiefs, but mayors. If there's something you want done, you should be able to voice that to your senator, governor, whoever it is you voted. Because changing the world to make it to where human rights are not equal makes absolutely no sense to me.
Right.
I had said something to my wife earlier when I was getting ready for the podcast, probably about 45 minutes, maybe an hour or so. And I said just this, and I typed it out. I said, they're taking our gun rights. The only two rights a woman has is voting and what they used to have, the redacted abortion law. Women get treated like us black people. Why does there need to be a law that governs what a woman does before a certain period of time, but a man has never had to carry a growing person in their body, but yet they want to make a law that takes a woman's right to do that away? Why do we have an amendment to speak and another one to just not say shit? When really the talking that we should be doing is equal rights. Why do we have amendments to have women to vote? Or just because they did this? Okay, we understand that. Do we have to govern everything because of that? Do we really have to govern everything because of that? We are governing things back when in 1776. Guess who were slaves back then? Yes, the very people that don't like us niggas. Y'all was the slaves. Now y'all not the slaves. It's a problem. And my boy Body got a good question. Right. What if the man wants to keep the baby? Exactly. That's a good point. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's like we are governed by a government that swears an oath and does all these things to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Let's break this down real quick. Foreign and domestic. We know what foreign is.
Right.
That's not domestic. Domestic is here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to defend
anybody that's standing, sitting, doesn't matter, next to you. That is domestic.
Let me sip my wine and I'm sure somebody pissed in. So If we're defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, if we're defending the country against domestic enemies, why do we have laws for them? We are the enemies of the state. Who? We the people.
Didn't they make a movie, Enemy of the State?
We the people are the enemy of the state.
I'm just saying.
When y'all get that, I think you'll get it. And I'm not just saying we as a black, as a black man. I'm saying we the people, even you white people. Asian, Mexican, doesn't matter. Everybody's the enemy of the state. They're not doing this to protect you. They're doing it to eliminate as many people as they can so the economy can do what it's supposed to do. Make them rich. You think they give a shit about how much money you got in your bank account? They already know.
They don't give a damn.
It ain't real money.
They don't give a damn.
Guess what? It ain't real money, so guess what? They control it, so they know. They can walk right into a bank and say, I need his information, or I'm going to shoot you in the head. And they're going to shoot him in the head anyway and take the information and going about their business. Why do you think they got so many government agencies that not only supposed to protect the policies and the Constitution of the United States? You got a police department that's supposed to police the city. Who polices the state?
And who polices them? Nobody.
Then we have a bunch of government agencies that's not even attached to the police station. We'll talk about, the alphabet soup guys. I ain't going to tell them on this damn podcast because they not paying me. But we all know who they are. They get paid when it's at a federal level. So if you do time in a federal prison, you go to jail, they tell you get 25 years. Then they ask you, what do you want to do? Do you like to cut hair? Do you have a
clean,
artistic body? You have any artisticness in your body? No, what this is them not listening to none of the constitutional amendments and just twisting it a little bit so it's not slavery. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because if they didn't pay the prisoners to do what they do, that's considered slavery. Mm-hmm. But it's called punishment if you do something against the law and then a judge, bam, bam, hits that gavel and gives you time for it. After that, most of these prisons are owned by private companies. They're going to do what the hell they want to do to you. That warden is going to give you your indoctrination. You're going to go to an indoc course. After somebody steals your bed shit and probably pees in your mattress and probably teabags your forehead.
Throw shit on you. Just saying.
I'm saying all that to say this. It makes absolutely no sense.
Not a one.
For these things to be taken away from we the people. When we the people can't even get along. Them, the other people, can't get along because they separated. You got the Democrats over here and the Republicans over here and the Democrats that don't like Democratic president over here and the Republicans that actually like the Democratic president over here and the people that like the Democratic president are Democrats over here and then the people that actually think they like the Republicans but they really don't and they're Republicans like some of the Democrats but not all of them, so they're not really Republican. They kind of call liberal or assholes over there. There's so much division.
It's a convoluted clusterfuck
that they still...
Ooh.
This is the thing. It's so divided that they have never passed the amendment Let me pull this up to make sure I'm quoting this right, because I'm about to say something that just probably gonna throw y'all into a whole what's the word I'm looking for? It's gonna put you in a different limelight of understanding how this world is jacked up. I had it on my phone, I took it off, but they have amendments that have never been ratified.
Correct.
One of those amendments is the federal and state governments recognizing people for who they are, not by sex. So they can't discriminate you based on your sex. That hasn't been ratified, which means it's not in the Constitution. But we all know it is illegal. It's the equal opportunity policy.
Correct.
Most all jobs have it. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's human rights." No, they don't care about human rights. They the people, not we the people. Because we the people is what they control. Let's keep going with that narrative. Because they need to understand this piece. The whole Roe versus Wade thing is not a distraction. It's an actual, and I hate to say this, but it's an actual kind of reproductive camaraderie with former President Trump. And I can honestly say I'm kind of upset with it because it did provide a lot of division, and it's going to provide a lot of division, not just in states, but with people.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to be, I think, a good opportunity for a lot of people to actually, I guess, really, in all retrospect, be able to voice how they feel about anything. Because people can voice how they feel about anything, and those voted officials that they vote in the office are supposed to actually kind of recognize those people and do something about it to make the United States a better place. For you and me, right? They write songs about this shit.
I was just about to say they wrote a song about it.
But I don't know. I have a problem with it for the respect of women's rights.
Yeah, we have what, 2?
Yeah.
And now we're down to 1.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all women realize that, but I mean, I'm just being real, because they had to pass a damn law just for women to serve in the military. They had to pass a law just for women to even train to be SEALs. They had to pass a law for women to go to jump school, to do all these things, because they were trying to protect them. Go on submarines, because they were trying to protect them because of them, being pregnant, or the risk of them being pregnant or getting pregnant, all this other shit. They were trying to prevent that risk. And then they put the fraternization policies out and was like, no, we're going to be professional. And guess what? Then sexual harassment happened, to where the professional thing just didn't fly with a lot of people. But the whole sexual harassment thing is okay. Because it's like, hush, hush, I'll just pay you some money and slide it under the door, and I can harass the shit out of you. But see, people are getting paid hush money and given non-disclosure agreements just because of the fact that they want to keep their reputation as an asshole. But my problem is this. If we allow these assholes to be voted officials and to make reasons to change things that are already kind of like, I'm against it, but you know what? It's a law and I can respect it, kind of thing. And it gives people options. Well, why are you taking those options away from people? Because you don't have the money to control it anymore? Don't tell me it's because it's a religious belief. Don't tell me it's because, in the natural hood of spirituality, this, that, and the other. Don't tell me that shit. Just don't. Because you're barking up the wrong tree. This is the problem. Either you can learn to play, or you can shut the fuck up. That's just the way it is right now. Not my opinion. I'm just being real.
Right.
Because people can complain and create all these rooms and have this discussion. And I can guarantee you, out of a room of 100, now let's go bigger. Let's shoot big. In a room of 1,000 people, listen to someone put out this information in this collective conversation and people are like commenting and saying, yeah, you right, blah, blah, blah. Ain't never one of them motherfuckers gonna do anything to change shit.
No, because they're not going to put that information on paper. They're not going to go in front of their mayor, their congressperson, their elected Senate representative or whomever to have anything done. Period.
Well,
it's not going to
It's not going to happen for the sheer fact of this. You can sell wolf tickets all day long.
All day.
Only 1 or 2 people are going to bite. The problem is when you go into these rooms, you have all these collective conversations, and it's not about, like my brother Andre, when he was in here saying, about financial literacy. When you're not having those kind of conversations to get people aware and having a better understanding of just being literal with their thinking and their knowledge and actually taking knowledge and taking that same knowledge and trying to make a change, trying to put a better change, like maybe I need to run for office, or maybe I know someone that's running for office and maybe I can help them and say, hey, look, I got this problem and I know you're running for office, but if you give me 5 minutes, I'd like to explain something to you. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Either they're going to take it or not going to take it. But you got to put yourself out there and have those conversations. Half these people ain't having these conversations.
Yeah.
I know I done wrote my senator like 3 or 4 times since I've been retired.
Yeah.
In whatever state I was living in, rather it's my VA shit or my VA shit or my VA shit.
Yeah.
Because it was, no, you approve these people to do something. They're not doing it. So why are you telling me I can't have this when I know I have this?
Right.
And you're not giving me the quality care that I'm supposed to get so that I can have this. And lo and behold, it happened. But you have to be persistent. The same thing with this instance. You have to be persistent. If we have a problem, we the people should be able to actually say something. It should not be opening up in the Constitution, we the people. If it's not for the people, it's not for the people. It should not say we the people.
Yeah, and what about our elected officials who are actually sitting in all these seats throughout the United States of America? Go back and look at those constitutional rights and amendments.
They're not going to do that. That's not, like
look
I said.
At all 11,770 that are sitting in the pending file. How about that?
It's not that. It's not that. It's not the responsibility of a new elected senator to go in and try to clean up what they didn't do back in the 1800s. Their task when you get in is to make the place better than what it was before you leave, right? That's the mentality you're supposed to have.
That's the mentality.
You can't go in and try to clean up some shit. You recognize as that very shit. You recognize it as that. But you can't clean it up when you are playing politics. Because you got to get in there and get what? 3/4 of the vote to make it happen. So now it's a hope and a dream, and everybody's like, oh, you just contradicted yourself because you're telling everybody they should do this, and now you're making it sound like you can't do it. But no, what I'm saying is when you go in there, your agenda needs to be exactly what you actually campaign for.
Oh, I think you need to repeat that one.
You can't, I'm just saying, you can't go in there and campaign saying that, I'm going to make crack legal, and then as soon as you get in the office, crack ain't never legal. But people are still voting for you. That's the problem we have right now. People say they're going to do this and support abortion rights or change abortion rights, do all these things with abortion rights. And then when the day comes and Roe v. Wade does not exist anymore.
This shit is just crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. We had a whole insurrection because we had a president that tweeted out, we should meet at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Oh, but as soon as Roe v. Wade comes out, these people can organize and say this is bull crap, and they can do all these things, and people are excited. It's like, oh, my little girl's going to grow up in the most freest world. Of what? Why wasn't she going to grow up in that freest world with Roe versus Wade being legal?
Yeah.
What is abortion rights changing for people in this world? And what is it not changing? I'm not going to get into this conversation because this is
too much.
Like I said, it's too much, and it's not a conversation that I want to get into. Anything else going on? Probably not.
Like literally, I'm certain that there's other topics that are going on. I mean, the NBA draft just happened, other things, but nothing of significance that I can attest to right now.
I'm gonna leave y'all with this. You got anything else to say with the people before we get off?
I just want to say, I appreciate Andre coming on tonight and really boosting my own knowledge with his sharing of financial literacy. I truly appreciate you, Andre. Thank you so much. The other piece I want to say is thank you, everybody else, for tapping in and tuning in with us this evening, catching part 2 of Recession Proof. I'm certain we're going to have some more. Catch us on all the podcasting places that you get your podcasts at. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com. Catch us everywhere. If you have questions, comments a topic you want brought forth to the table, hit us up on the That's What I Said Facebook page. We will get back to you. And thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Peace.
So, I'm going to leave out with this. I know I titled this Recession Proof Part 2. And I brought my brother Andre. Thanks again, my brother, for coming on. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that's going to come in later or whenever, they get the opportunity and listen to the podcast or look at the live video on Facebook. I want to leave y'all with this, though. Understand what my brother was saying, what financial literacy is and financial education is. Some people might be financially educated. That don't mean they're financially literate. You may have an understanding for money, but your understanding for money might only be on such a basic level that it's not benefiting you by putting in the hard work for somebody else when you can do it for yourself. And not only when you do it for yourself, how are you reinventing the wheel and making sure that you put the money in a spot that not only is going to grow and make money for you, but it's also going to be a legacy to your family. We all, I think as people, need to have a better understanding when it comes to that. I think we need to take the time to better put ourselves in a better position financially. And even if we are in a better position financially, educate people around you. Educate people around you, because I think this recession is going to hit us hard. And I don't think it's going to hit us as hard as a lot of people want to believe. But I think it's going to hit people hard because a lot of people haven't really been in a recession before. It ain't never really affected them.
Yeah. But
this recession, I think, is going to hit people hard. So with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all have a great Friday evening. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. Have some wine. Have a bottle of water. Do whatever it is you need to do on this Friday and enjoy it. And I'll get with y'all next week.
Stay cool.
For real. Because it's going to be warm, especially down south. I know y'all burning the hell up down there. Warm up, y'all. Stay warm. Peace and love, y'all. We out. Peace.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders. That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
100% real, raw, and uncut. Deadass.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders. That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
Bitch, what? You eat ass with a baby spoon.